Townsend. Now, this is the first time that we've done this kind of a thing in this way. We're trying to make it, so we're kind of learning as we go. We wanted to give you plenty of time to talk to the group. And this was the best way we could do it, so it's fair. You're all going to get a chance to talk. We do have a time clock that's going to show up right in front of you here. And we'd hope that you would honor that time clock. I was going to bring one of those air horns, but I didn't have time to stop and get it. So please honor it, or I'm going to have to, make a loud noise. Let's see. Yeah, and if you go over on your time that's allotted to you, then the moderators may take time out of your next opportunity to speak. And so let me introduce to you the moderators for tonight, the ones who will be asking the questions. We have Sarah Mann. Sarah is an Encino resident and a native Angelino. And actually, I think this is her first time at the Republican, at this club, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so she got her invitation to the club meeting, and she emailed and said, how can I help? And I said, I've got a job for you, so this is great. She holds a degree in communication. She's a teacher, freelance writer, and a graphic designer. And then we have Ashley Benning. And we have also Ashley Benning is a native of Los Angeles. She's a teacher, author, and director of blended learning at Chaminade College Preparatory School. She's also a PhD candidate at the University of Birmingham in England. And so this is a proud father introducing his daughter to you. So I am going to... Yeah, she did. I am going to turn the time over to our capable moderators now, and we'll go for about a 45, 50-minute ride through this debate.
Welcome, gentlemen. We're going to start with opening statements. You'll have 2 minutes to give your introduction, and then we have some rapid-fire questions for you to kind of loosen you up. And then we will go into our foreign policy issues first. So opening statements, and we're going to start with Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Ashley. Well, folks, my name is Christopher David Townsend. I am running for your representative here in the 30th District in California. Actually, the 30th District is a little bit further this way, but I am running for the 30th District. I believe life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, that's important, as well as God. And I believe that this country has gone away from those core principles, and I believe we need to bring it back. And that's why I'm running for Congress. So I'm here to get to know you, and hopefully you'll get to know a little bit about me. And when I'm your representative in Congress, you can contact me anytime, and we can move forward and make this country great again. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Let me mention, too, that you do not have to use all the time we give you. If you use less, we can ask more questions.
Nice.
So just keep that in mind, please. All right, Mr. Reed, will you please give us your opening statement?
My name is Mark Reed. I'm a product of a lieutenant commander of the United States Navy. So I'm a conservative constitutionalist who happens to be a Republican. I believe the Republican Party has left me just like it's left a lot of people in the United States. This is the most exciting election period I think the U.S. is ever going to see. And we have a great opportunity to flip a seat here in the West San Fernando Valley, and I am the one who is best poised to take the seat from Brad Sherman. I've made my name very well known out in the West San Fernando Valley. I have created a campaign staff that is a broad campaign staff to be able to get the crossover vote. I'm going to introduce Sean Fozzie. Can you stand up? He's standing in the back. He's one of my campaign managers. Now, don't beat him up. He's actually a progressive Democrat, and he wants to vote for Bernie Sanders. I'll get him switched over by the end of this campaign. But in order to win this election, you have to get the crossover vote, because you have to remember that 47% of the registered voters in the 30th District are Democrats. So how can you win? 27% of the registered voters are Republican, 21% are independent. You have to get the crossover vote. We've been working at it for the last year, ever since the last primary in general that I was in. We've still been working at it, getting that coalition together. I've made inroads into the Jewish community as well. David Zuckerman has endorsed the campaign and will be speaking on behalf of the campaign as well. And if you don't know who David Zuckerman is, go home and look him up. He's one of the, he's like the Steven Spielberg of television. Also, Gabriel Kalanian is a Armenian. He's working on the campaign. He's one of my campaign managers as well. So this year, for the first time, Brad Sherman has not gotten the Armenian endorsement. And it's because we've silenced him. A vote for me is a vote for change in the West San Fernando Valley and bringing the focus back to the Valley from Congress and having respect for the congressman that's representing you in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much.
Mr. Singh, your opening statement.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Navraj Singh. I'm a former Army officer from Indian Army. I led a Army in the war in 1971. I led a infantry company in the war against Pakistan. And I want to tell you today, the reason we have the ISIS problem today, which is the most important problem we have to take care of, is Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. The kind of money that we are giving to Pakistan over several years, it goes to all the generals that Pakistan has. When a general in Pakistani army retires, he goes and lives in Switzerland. When a general in Indian army retires, he goes to a 3-bedroom apartment. So most of the money that Americans are sending is going to the generalship in Pakistan. So we have to, I want to tell you that unless we stop giving money to Pakistan, they will not stop training ISIS. ISIS is a product of Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Our second problem is jobs. We are losing jobs to different countries. We complain that a lot of foreigners come to this country and take jobs, especially from India and China. We have done a very bad job of educating our children. Our children are not ready for college, and they graduate from college with heavy loans. And then we complain that we get people from India and China to fill those jobs. We have to train our children properly. I like Donald Trump when he says that he wants to bring the Department of Education to the state level. I really respect him for that. Nobody has done that so far. Our third thing is the education. We have to educate our children. We have to give our children full responsibility along with an opportunity to go to the best school. Let children and parents be the responsible for education. As parents, we have to prepare children in the morning. Be prepared to go to school and learn something. The teachers are not responsible to discipline our children. It is the job of the parents. So let's educate our children so they can prosper. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Singh, for you, how long have you been a Republican?
I have been a Republican before I was born. Because you don't become a Republican. Republican is not a label that you get. It's how you are raised. I was raised by a mom who was a dairy farmer, and I was raised by a father who was an industrialist. So my mom made us work very hard. We never got anything for free. Everything we wanted, we had to work hard for that. We never even got a meal free. So once we came back from school, we had to do the homework. After we finished the homework, we had to do the chores. I have to help my mom milk the cows. So we got nothing free. So I'm a Republican. We believe in authority, we believe in responsibility, we believe in small government. And my mom was the government. She made me do things.
For you, Mark Reed, what is the best thing about the San Fernando Valley?
The best thing about the San Fernando Valley is that it was built on our veterans. If you think back to World War II with Kaiser and the rest of the home builders, they built houses to bring our veterans back here to the valley. So it's a valley of families and family values and family traditions and hardworking individuals. Under Brad Sherman's watch, we've watched the Canoga Corridor gutted. We've watched Raytheon, we've watched all the aviation industry, the aerospace industry, we've watched the medical industry, research and development, all disappear from the San Fernando Valley. We are hardworking, very individual, responsible people in the San Fernando Valley. So it's really the families, and this is what the country is made up of, is our families, the kitchen table, the mom and dads. That's the best thing about the San Fernando Valley to me. This is what I've raised my family, and I was raised as well. Like Navraj, I had a very strong mother. I was born in a family of 11. You talk about a general. So that's the best thing of the San Fernando Valley to me.
For you, Christopher Townsend, is the U.S. Constitution still relevant today?
Well, yes, Sarah, it is. Is it being utilized? I think it's not. It is very relevant. As a matter of fact, part of my campaign will be to bring back the Constitution, and the way to do that is very simple. It starts with the preamble. Most of you know what the preamble is: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. But there's more to it than just that. Is what does that mean to you? How can you achieve your goals without it? You can't. That's why we're failing here in this country, because we have leaders, politicians that don't follow the Constitution, and it starts with the preamble. And if I have a few minutes later on, I'll go ahead and read it to you, but that's what I think we need to do, is bring that back to this country, and it will work.
We're going to go into foreign policy questions now. You will have 60 seconds for your response. If your name is mentioned by another candidate, you will get a 30-second rebuttal. But please keep in mind that you don't have to use all the time you're allotted. All right, this first question is going to go to Mr. Reed. Some people have proposed changes to relations with U.S. allies around the world, saying that sometimes America is getting a bad deal in these relationships. Are there any alliances Washington currently maintains that you believe should be reconsidered?
Every last one of them. I second that one over there. I heard him say that. It's like every last one of them needs to be reconsidered. Our foreign policy pertaining to giving money, foreign aid. You look at Pakistan, as Navraj brought up, Pakistan, India. You look at Syria, you look at Lebanon, and the rest of them. We give money without any return. The foreign policy is also an economic policy with foreign trade. And right now we get the bump stick of that one. I mean, we just with Mexico. Mexico's a small little country over there. It's a $59 billion trade deficit. You look at China, $580 billion trade deficit. These things have to stop. I mean, we have to reevaluate all of our relations at this point.
For you, Mr. Singh, should the United States be involved in a coalition with Russia, perhaps a relationship to counter ISIS and other terrorist organizations?
President Reagan used to say, trust but verify. With Russia, I think we have to be very skeptical. If we have a verifiable trust that they can be our partner, and the next president can assure the Congress that that's the right way to do, I will support the president. I will vote on the side of the president to give him the authority to work with Russia in Syria. If not, I'm very skeptical about the Russians in general. Russians are not our friends, they are our adversaries, especially with this guy Putin. He is trying to put together his former empire back, which is not going to happen, and we have to be very skeptical of him. Otherwise, Russia is welcome to be our ally. If they want to fight under our generalship, under America, they are most welcome.
Christopher Townsend. Jumping off of Singh's answer, according to the Brookings Institute, the United States defense spending is more than 3 times as great as the next largest spender, China, 7 times as much as Russia. Is this reasonable? Are we overspending? Do you think spending should be increased? How do you propose we pay for it?
Thank you, Sarah. I think that's a very important question. What is defense? You only use defense when you're being attacked, right? You only go out to war when you're being attacked. We are spending, what was that? I can't remember, it was like $600 billion now per year on defense, which is basically we're going out to these countries, trying to divide and conquer them, getting in the middle of their holy wars. We have no business being there. No one, as far as I know, no one has come to the United States soil and waged war with us. Yes, we had 9/11, and that was unfortunate, and there's a lot of people that died.
It was an attack.
It was an attack. It was an attack. But we have 28 pages that we need to bring to the American public to show exactly what's going on. Spending money on defense is great. I think we're spending way too much right now. I think we need to cut the budget, and we only go to war when we're being attacked, in my opinion. Thank you.
This next question is going to go to all three of you. We'll start with Mr. Singh. Do you believe that any attack on Israel should be treated as an attack on the United States?
We were talking about friends. We have fair weather friends and we have real friends. Israel is the real friend of the United States of America, and the only friend who deserves to be sent money from the United States taxpayers. They are, in a way, defending us by being in Middle East. They are the stronghold of Middle East, and we have to support them every time something happens to them. I'm ashamed, I'm totally ashamed that this president is absolutely naive. He has ruined our relationship with Israel. There was no need for it. I think the next president, whosoever it is going to be, I think it's going to be Donald Trump. I know it is going to be Donald Trump. He's going to make sure that the American embassy is moved to Jerusalem. It should happen as soon as the president is sworn in. And he's going to do that. And we have to support Israel. They are the only friend we have. They support us every time.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Mr. Reed?
Any member of NATO and any ally of ours that's attacked by an enemy of any one of us is an attack on the United States. We have to look at the Middle East and get serious about it and look at Wahhabism. Wahhabism is centered in Saudi Arabia. They transport that extremism out from there. There's 4,800,000 Wahhabis that want to go back to the third generation purity of Muslim. This is what we have to address. We have to start holding Saudi Arabia accountable. We have to start holding Turkey accountable. We have to start holding people that are against us accountable rather than giving them aid and couching them. Any attack, whether it be a cyber attack, remember China cyber attacks us every day. How many times? Are we going to consider this an act of war? I consider it an act of war. How are we going to respond? Talking about our defense. Unless we have strength, we don't have peace. People that look on us as being weak are going to attack us. We need to build our military back up to be a serious fighting force that's ready to go anywhere in the world.
Mr. Townsend, same question.
Well, might does not make right, okay? So, to get involved with these conflicts that are happening around the world, our young men and women are dying over there, and we don't know why, okay? You talk about the Wahhabism. Wahhabism, that's a group of Muslims, but they also believe in devil worshippers. Okay, they're devil worshippers. Okay, they don't believe in God, because we believe in God. If you do the research on it, you'll find out. We've got the Sunnis and the Shiites fighting each other. We don't know if we're funding ISIS 1 minute.
That was the question.
What is the question?
About Israel.
About Israel.
Israel attacked. Let him answer it the way he wants.
Okay, well, if I've got 6 more seconds, so I don't think we should play any part of what's happening over there. And I don't think we should be funding Israel, period.
Thank you.
Now, the Supreme Court has held Social Security is a welfare plan. This means it can be terminated anytime. It also means the government can distribute its proceeds arbitrarily. So, Mark Reed, what do you think the proper role is for the Social Security program?
That's a very broad brush question to ask. Social Security is turned into an entitlement program, which means if you fit a certain criteria established by the government, you can receive the benefits of it. So the government has created Social Security to become a very broad welfare program, essentially, and wasn't originally meant to be a welfare program. You put into it through your working life to be able to get a stipend at the end of your life to maintain a certain quality of life at the end. But the government has bastardized it to a point to where it's a vote-getting machine. Social Security needs to be sustained. We need to freeze the benefits at today's rate. We need to raise the retirement by a year at a time. We need to be able to give an opt-in program that's been discussed before. I mean, to be able to control your own money. The government, so long as they're involved in it, is destroying the program like they've destroyed every other program that exists.
Mr. Singh?
Same question.
Same.
I don't think Social Security is a kind of an entitlement program. The people work hard all their life. They have put money into it. It is the government that has not managed that money well. That's why they're entitled. If you see, our government has, the bureaucracy has completely, they have overblown. How much money the bureaucracy consumes? We have to cut that down and concentrate on Social Security. We can't change Social Security for people who are 65 now or getting to be 65. For the next generation or for the future generation, we have to find a way so they can hold themselves responsible, whether they want to chip into the Social Security or they want to set up their own accounting system. They want to put the money in their own way so that they can depend when they grow up. They can open that account and reward themselves with their savings. I personally believe the individual responsibility, that is the cornerstone of Republican philosophy, that should be the way to go with Social Security. Thank you.
Mr. Townsend, same question.
Okay, thank you. Well, as you know, we have 3 branches of government in this country, but we have our politicians and our leaders trying to put a 4th together, and that's where we're kind of at a problem right now, because we've got unelected bureaucrats, and they're writing the rules, writing our regulations that govern our society. And part of the problem is figuring out transparency, whether it's the IRS, whether it's Social Security Administration, what other agencies that are out there, they need to be held accountable for the money that we give them. And if they're not using it wisely, then we're being affected. And we're almost $20 trillion in debt right now, and we can't afford it anymore. Thank you.
Mr. Townsend, this question is for you. With the Affordable Care Act now implemented, how do you see it affecting Valley residents, and will you propose any specific changes? And the other candidates, you will have a chance to answer this as well.
Thank you very much. Well, it has affected me. I don't have health insurance because I feel that I don't need to get health insurance. But yet, of course, I was fined close to $600 this year. I had to pay that out of my own pocket when I could have put it towards something else, more important. I can't talk about how it would affect each and every one of you, but it's not the best plan. We need to revisit what's in that plan and try to solve some of those issues. Hopefully, we can work together with Democrats and come together and reach a middle ground so that it works, so that it will work for healthcare, will work for each and every one of us. But as it stands right now, it's not working, in my opinion. Thanks.
Mr. Singh, how do you see the Affordable Care Act affecting Valley residents, and would you recommend a change to that?
I think you will all agree with me, most of you at least, Republicans sitting here, that the Affordable Care Act is a total flop. It will fall by its own weight. You don't have to do anything. Eventually it will fall because it doesn't sound fiscally responsible. No government can give medical insurance to all the citizens and have one kind of a policy that fits all. They want men to have mammogram, they want older women to have mammogram, they want older women to have what you call, getting the reproductive, things checked up. It's not required. I think everyone, we should have a plan that is competitive, that is statewide. Each state can compete with each other, just like businesses compete. You don't have just like one McDonald's. You have different food places. Same way, we should have different plans. We have different insurance policies for cars. They tell you how much deductible you want. So I think everyone should be responsible for their own health. What should happen is that there should be so much competition that the prices of the medical should go down, and then people can buy the plans of their choice. Thank you.
Thank you. This is also something I would like to ask all three of you.
Yes, do I get to wait?
Yeah. Yes, please do. Thank you.
Our next president is going to be a Republican, and he's going to repeal the ACA and Obamacare. I will be one of the loudest voices on the floor saying yes, without a doubt, because even my youngest child sees the damages that it's done. You have to spend $5,000 on a premium. You have to spend another $5,000 in health care expenses in the year in order for you to get $1 of benefit. Let me tell you something about running for the congressional seat in the San Fernando Valley. The guy that sits in the seat now is completely disrespected by the United States Congress. He can't do anything for the San Fernando Valley. We're in the middle of a drought. He can't even get the Army Corps of Engineers to reclaim the water, which the Department of Reclamation estimated 53,000 gallons per second in a 4-hour rain was leaving the Sepulveda Dam. We need a congressman that's going to focus on the valley, period. Focus on the valley, bringing jobs back, bringing back the respect that we need from Congress, because this is what a representative government is. And if you don't have a congressman that can go to Washington, D.C. and stand up for the San Fernando Valley and get things done, then why have a representative from the San Fernando Valley?
Okay, now is my question, which I would also like to ask all three of you, starting with Chris. Does the United States have an immigration problem? If it does, should the U.S. immigration policy be changed? How would you change it?
Well, thank you, Sarah. An immigration problem. Well, immigration is not the problem. We don't have a problem here in this country with immigrants coming over, as far as I know. We have a problem with illegal entry. And I believe that our president, as well as the executive branch, is being selective, and they're not enforcing the laws. And that's just one of the laws that they're not enforcing. Building a fence is not going to stop anybody from coming over the border, because they could dig a hole and crawl under. So the amount of money that Donald Trump wants to spend on a wall, I could see that being spent in other areas to help people who need to learn how to take what's in the Constitution and make it work for themselves so that there's opportunity for everybody. Thank you.
What would be your solution?
May I respond?
Yeah. 30 seconds. Yeah.
Okay. My solution is to enforce the laws that we currently have, allow a path to citizenship, and allow people to be able to pay their fair share. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Singh?
I'm an immigrant, first generation immigrant. I came here 42 years ago. I came legally. I think we have to stop immigration the way it stands today. Today in India, I'm just talking about India, you can pay somebody 1,700 rupees, which is almost like $7, $8. Get a visa. A travel agent will get you a visa. Come to the United States and never go back. And just be gone. Nobody knows where you are. So it is not just about the Mexican people coming here, taking our jobs. I think we have to stop them there. Once they are here, they have just become a part of the society. They have children. So we have to make sure we have a policy, immigration policy, that is responsive to the needs of the American people. We have to make America strong. We have to stop getting people from the countries who don't like us. Let them stay in their country. If they like their religion, let them stay there, practice their religion there. Don't bring it here. If you want to come here, love America, be a part of America.
And finally, Mr. Reed.
As an American Indian, Mohawk, and Apache, we welcomed everybody here. It didn't turn out well for us, did it? We found out what it's like to not have border security, immigration policies of any kind. Immigration is not a problem unless you don't have laws that are enforced. We have a border security problem, which is not an immigration problem. Border security is completely different. We need to secure our border, the southern border. But then the Immigration Department needs to be completely overhauled, because 40% of the illegal immigrants that are here are visa overstays. Why are they here? Because it's so hard to get their visas renewed. The Immigration Department is so obsolete at this point. It needs to be attended to. It needs to be brought into the 21st century. Our quotas need to be dropped. We're bringing in way too many people right now. We need to bring in the brightest and the best. But most of all, we need to focus on border security and cutting the numbers down and redoing the Immigration Department so that way it runs efficiently and effectively.
Thank you. So we've done foreign policy and domestic policy. We're going to go a little smaller now and look at our 30th Congressional District. What is the most pressing issue here in our 30th Congressional District? And Mr. Singh, I'll direct that at you.
When you get out of your house, what do you see? No matter what time you get out of your house, it can be any time of the day. There is so much traffic. You just can't stand it. If you have to go to the airport, you will never make it. I don't understand for life of me that why can't we have a double-decker freeways? This congressman doesn't think about anything. He doesn't think outside of the box. If I go to the Congress, I'm going to talk to all 435 congressmen, because this issue affects every congressional district. We have to bring private sector to make double-decker freeways. They can be built in China, they can be built here. Let's do it. Let's improve the quality of life of every congressional district, not just 30th district. The other thing is the water problem. Water problem can be solved. Why are we letting this water go down the drain? We should be able to capture it and use it. But this congressman is sleeping. We need a congressman who will just act, and he will not be just in Washington, D.C. This guy is there for 20 years. I want to ask, he should tell me if there are 20 things he has done good in Congress. His answer will be at least 0. Let's change this son of a gun.
Thank you. Mr. Reed, same question.
The biggest pressing things in the San Bernardino Valley is political corruption and corporate greed. It is destroying our economy here in the San Bernardino Valley. You look at what's happening in Porter Ranch with the gas leak or blowout. It's really a blowout. With political corruption, for 15 years, those wells, 115 of those wells, 19 of them were known to be leaking. Congressman Sherman's mother moved out 10 months before that well blew. Maybe he got a hunch it was going to blow. But he lives in Porter Ranch, but he lives really in Virginia. He doesn't live in Porter Ranch. So with the political corruption and corporate greed, you're looking at a government public utility that is basically gassed 10,600 homes, made over 3,000 residents leave their houses. Just picture this in your own head. You have $1 million home, you have to leave. The closest housing they're going to give you is 50 miles away. This is one of the biggest pressing issues in the San Fernando Valley is political corruption and corporate greed, and it needs to be attended to and looked at by new faces, new ideas, new leadership. This is what I propose bringing to the San Fernando Valley if elected to Congress.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Townsend, same question, the most pressing issue in the 30th Congressional District.
Thank you. Well, I believe I agree with both candidates here that the most pressing issue that we have is getting Brad Sherman out of office. But secondly, we need to build people from the ground up, and that's not being done right now. We need to strengthen the chain at the weakest link. And there's a lot of prosperous people out here, there's a lot of intelligent people out here, there's a lot of opportunity. We need to utilize the resources that we have in each one of us and build it up from the ground up, like a grassroots. Instead of the trickle down that we've had, giving money at the top and somehow letting it go down at the bottom, we need to strengthen this community from the ground up. And the only way that we can do that is together. Thank you.
What is one of the worst things you believe the current Congressman Brad Sherman has done while he's in office?
Everything.
Everything. Oh, sorry. Let me start over. What is the worst thing Brad Sherman has done while in office? I'm starting with Mr. Singh.
How long is the question?
He has done several worst things. Personally, I will tell you that I'm not very fond of Brad Sherman. In 2006, I lost my son in a car accident. And my daughter-in-law came from India, and obviously I was telling my son, you know, go in front of the court and get married so that she can become a citizen. It didn't happen. They were too young. They didn't listen to me. And then my son died in a car accident, never came back from a Lakers game. And I wanted to see Congressman Brad Sherman in that connection. And unfortunately, when I'll call his office, nobody will take my call. Eventually, a friend of mine, who was a friend of Brad Sherman, he said, Brad Sherman is never going to talk to you unless you give him campaign contribution. So my friend told me that give me $5,000 and I will have a meeting arranged with Brad Sherman. I didn't believe it, but I was so frustrated, and my daughter-in-law was, in shambles, that I went to that person's house, gave him a $5,000 check, and good enough, there was a meeting with Brad Sherman. And Brad Sherman not only met me and my daughter-in-law, he passed a phony bill in the Congress, 5335, bill number 5335. He is a corrupt politician. I just don't understand. Why the people of San Fernando Valley bring him back home? Let him go to private sector. He will understand how to get a job.
Mr.
He will
Reed?
not get a job.
Same question.
Please bring him back here. Thank you.
The worst thing Brad does in office is he keeps getting reelected. There's a number of things that he has done. The biggest one is since 1996, if you go back and read the LA Times about the manufacturing leaving the San Fernando Valley, almost 500,000 manufacturing jobs have left. And these are high-paying, high-skilled manufacturing jobs. Why have they left? Because he has run out military, he's run out research and development, he's couched up with the environmentalists to put so many requirements on new businesses coming here that they won't come. Japan had the contract, and they had a facility in Torrance to build the light rail trains and buses. They got a contract for another 117. They were going to build a 500,000 square foot facility in Palmdale. They ran them out because of the environmental requirements. The worst thing that Brad Sherman has done is destroyed the economy of the San Fernando Valley. It has made it impossible for us to make a decent living, to be able to to enjoy the lives and homes that we have so enjoyed for years and decades in the San Fernando Valley. That's the worst thing he should do.
Mr. Townsend?
Thank
Same
you.
question.
Well, there's no doubt that Brad Sherman doesn't know how to run a business and doesn't know how to support his community. But I think the worst thing that he could have done was back in September of last year when they tried to go against the Born Alive Abortion Survivor Protection Act. And basically what this is if a woman is going to an abortion clinic and the baby survives, Brad Sherman voted that the baby should die instead of protecting human life. And I think that's just sick, in my opinion. So if he doesn't care about the birth of a baby, how do you expect him to care about you as his constituents? Thank you.
That was actually an excellent segue into this next question. We've covered national defense, we've covered all kinds of foreign policy, immigration. We're now going to talk just for one or two questions about social issues. Mr. Townsend, because you brought it up, we'll start with you. Are there any social issues that are relevant in this race? And if so, what are they?
Social issues. Well, can you define what a social issue is? I know that there's certain things that I care about. I care about health of each and every one of us. I guess you could call that social. Care about education. I think we all have an opportunity to be educated by the best people and the brightest people. And poverty, take care of the people that are in need and bring them up. Show them how to win, When this country was created, they knew how to win. And they wanted us all to win as well. And the blueprint is right here in the Constitution, but we haven't followed that. We can all live our dreams. We can all have what we want and what we need. We just have to put it to work for us. So those are some of the social issues I have, and hopefully when I'm in Congress, I can make some of them a reality. Thank you.
Mr. Reed, same question. Sorry, I caught you when you were looking.
No, you didn't catch me off guard. I'd like anybody to show me in the Constitution of the United States where it gives the federal government the social engineer. Social issues are important to me, but the federal government has no business in my backyard, has no business in my bedroom, has no business in my life. So if it's a personal question of how I feel about social issues, they've already been covered. The Supreme Court has already stuck its nose in there. Gay marriage is legal. Abortions are legal. All these things are legal. The federal government has to get out of the business of social engineering, period. So it's not a relevant question for a candidate who is going to take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of the United States of getting involved in social issues. Now, if you look at certain things that I want recognized, one of them is the Armenian genocide. We just saw the 101st anniversary of the genocide. As an American Indian, we will never have our genocide recognized. But the Armenians have been promised by this congressman for 21 years that he was going to get it recognized, and he hasn't done it yet. Why? Because he is too cowardice to stand up to Turkey, to stand up to Saudi Arabia, to bring out Wahhabism, and make the international community, as 20 other nations, at least 20 other nations, and half of the states of the United States recognize the Armenian genocide as a genocide. That's the main one that I would like to.
Thank you very much. Mr. Singh, same question.
Friends, I'm a pro-life Republican. The Supreme Court says a woman has a right to choose. Roe versus Wade is okay. But what about the rights of a kid who's yearning to be born, and nobody is taking care of the rights of the kid that is not. He's breathing, he or she is breathing inside the womb, but still nobody cares. I think one of the most important things that we have to watch is that the next president of the United States be Republican, so that when he appoints that new justices, we can do something and overturn Roe versus Wade. So we have this opportunity coming very soon in January, and I think we should all go, be excited about it. We should forget our differences. Whatever has happened. Donald Trump is going to be the president. Let's cheer up and vote for him and make sure that he appoints good justices so that we can turn Roe versus Wade. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, and then we're going to go into your closing statement. Sarah's going to ask our last question.
So I would like to ask each one of you, very briefly, what is the most important thing you would like to do if you win? Starting with Mr. Singh.
If I am fortunate enough to be the congressman, of course, as far as personally I'm concerned, I'm not going to be taking my salary because I'm pretty well off. I can take care of myself. The money that I'll be getting from the Congress, I'll be giving it to the veterans, the people who have laid down their life, and the families that will be in need of money. So it doesn't have to come to my district. I'm going to go to all 435 districts. I'm going to make friends with all the congressmen. And if they have a case, they want help, I'll definitely love to help them. But one thing I'd like to do, we have to connect the salaries of the congressman with the GDP. If our debt ratio goes beyond 3% of the GDP, we should tell the congressmen that they cannot run again. I think that's the only way we can do it.
Mr. Townsend?
Thank you. When I get into Congress, I want to unify people rather than to divide. I want to join the House committees of Education and the Workforce, Small Business, Energy and Commerce, and possibly, if there's time, Science, Technology, and Space. Some of the policies that concern me would be to grow the economy, reform the tax code. It's too confusing, and we don't even know what's happening over there at the IRS, so that needs to be taken care of. Open up the energy regulation reform, customizable health care that we talked about before, and then to fight poverty. So that's what I want to do when I get into Congress as your representative, and I'm asking for your vote. I hope that we can get to know each other a little bit better, and you can share some of your concerns with me so that we can get some things done. Thank you.
Mr. Reed.
Let me just be straightforward and honest. What I want to do when I become a congressman is get reelected, because that's going to be the next thing that's on the plate, because the Democrats are going to come after us with tooth and nail. So that is the biggest thing, bringing the coalition of the Valley together behind me in that seat so I can gain the seniority to be able to accomplish the things that are being discussed up here. As a strong conservative constitutionalist, I'll back any pieces of legislation coming from the lower house, the upper house, or joint sessions that fit the criteria of conservative constitutional beliefs and principles. As pertaining to what I want to do personally here in the San Fernando Valley is bringing the dignity back to the hardworking men and women, bringing back the decision process, cutting the regulations so businesses can come back to the San Fernando Valley, bring research and development for alternative fuels here, bring back the military contracts, bring back what Brad Sherman has dismantled so effectively in the last 20 years. We're not a service industry valley. We are a solid manufacturing, research and development, high-skilled, high-educated, highly motivated community.
All right, it's time for our closing statements. You have 1 minute each, and this is your last chance. Parting shots or anything we forgot to cover, you got 1 minute each. We will go ahead and start with Mr. Singh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I came to this country 42 years ago with $7 in my pocket. $7. I went to work the first week I was here. I started selling vacuum cleaners door to door. My first paycheck was $3,000. I didn't do that job for a long time, just for a month. Then I started selling cars. I did very well there. I opened my own restaurants. I currently own a hotel in Beverly Hills just from the $7. I have created people who have their businesses, who are millionaires in their own right. I'm funding my campaign myself. I'm not asking for anybody's contribution. If I go to Congress, my job is to tell my majority leader that let me mix up with the Democrats. I'm a thorough Republican. Nobody's going to change me ever. But I want an opportunity to change the brains and minds of Democrats who are ruining this country. I think I can do that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Townsend, your closing remarks.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you for all of you to coming here today. Your time is very valuable. We've been here for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, and you add up the amount of time that is per person, and that's a lot of money. So we're investing a lot of time and energy here today to try to find a candidate that will work for you and be your representative, and I want to be that person. I have 36 seconds. We have 3 branches of government. We're supposed to be the legislators. You need to tell us what you need so that we can create the laws that work, so that everybody is prosperous. And through God's help, then we do have the blessings of liberty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Mr. Reed, closing remarks.
In the last 6 years, I've been battling for this seat against Brad Sherman. I am the best qualified, the most known in the district to be able to take this seat. We want to win this seat, don't we? One of the individuals up here I've already run against 3 times, beat him handily. The other one is unknown in the district. We anticipate, and even the Daily News has come out with a poll, that I am double digits ahead in name recognition and favorability for the seat itself. With your vote, with your help, we can take the seat from Brad Sherman. We can build a coalition to bring back the jobs, the dignity to the families, bring back security, get rid of political corruption, get rid of the corporate greed in the public utilities here, and bring back a valley that we all knew 4 decades ago. I appreciate your support. And David, thank you for having this debate this evening, and thank all of you for showing up and supporting.
Thank you, candidates. This was fantastic. We appreciate your participation, and you've heard me say before, and you've heard it said by other people in different ways, but my grandmother probably said it best. When someone runs for office, you just have to thank them, because then you don't have to run, right? So thank you for running. We need about 1 minute to reconfigure the room a little bit for Howard Hyde's presentation, and so you can high-five the candidates as they walk into the back. Someone asked if we would do some kind of a poll. I think the club itself should stay neutral on all of this, but if any of the candidates want to do their own exit poll, they can stay around to the end and exit poll people about how they did on the debate. So stand up if you need to, do a wave, but it's just going to be 30 seconds, and then we're going to be starting Howard Hyde's presentation.